Hello, everyone. Amanda Williams here with you today. I want to talk about cruciferous vegetables. Now, the name in and of itself is sometimes tricky for people to understand. You say cruciferous vegetables, what in the world is that? But it's vegetables that we are all used to eating on a fairly regular basis, or at least you should be. So we think about things like broccoli, cauliflower, for example. These are all in that category of cruciferous vegetables. We can add kale, we can add spinach. There are so many different ways that cruciferous vegetables can be so beneficial for our overall health. So that's why I wanted to talk about them today and really focus on what it is exactly about the cruciferous vegetables that are so incredibly powerful. So we can look at the chemical constituents that are derived from those vegetables. So we look at things like sulforaphanes. We look at indole 3 carbinol, which is really quite fascinating. Both sulforaphane and indole 3 carbinol have been studied extensively when it comes to detoxification of the body, helping to support these stages or the phases of metabolic detoxification, which is really very important because our body does this each and every single day. We know that those vegetables help to support that, but when we take the active constituent, that indole 3 carbinol or that sulforaphane directly from those vegetables, it can really pack a powerful punch when it comes to overall cellular detoxification. But it's not just limited to that. When we look at the scientific research on things such as indole 3 carbinol, we can go across the spectrum in terms of how beneficial it is for overall health. It's been studied widely when it comes to cancer research. So we can look at prostate cancer, breast cancer, extensive research done with indole 3 carbinol in those settings. And there's a reason why, because when we look at the way that our body is breaking down hormonal byproducts, and we look at estrogen in particular. So you have these estrogen metabolites that break down in both men and women. So, men, don't kid yourself, you have estrogen running through you as well. And so, this can be a link when we're looking at prostate cancer. So, when we look at how estrogen is breaking down and you have these harmful byproducts that are actually building up, and if the body is not doing a good job when it comes to the different phases of metabolic daily detoxification, then this is when we can generate too much of those harmful byproducts, which can certainly be problematic and have been directly linked to things such as breast cancer, endometrial cancer, and yes, prostate cancer. So they have looked at this. They actually did a really fascinating study up in Detroit, and they were looking at, and this is at the Carmanos Cancer Institute, where they were looking at the utilization of indole 3 carbinol and its subcomponent, which is DIM, DIM, looking at that in the setting of prostate cancer and looking to see if that could be an adjuvant therapy for men undergoing prostate cancer therapy. And they were highly impressed with what they found in terms of the way that that indole 3 carbinol and DIM interacted with those very problematic cancer cells. So this is something that we definitely know. We know that when it comes to breast cancer research, a lot of uh, research out there looking at indole 3 carbinol and just how beneficial that can be as well. But that's just one aspect of it. We really want to think about just basic cellular detoxification. Every single day, we have to make sure that our body has the ability to rid itself of all of the different harmful toxins that we are exposed to, whether environmentally, whether it's coming from the foods, especially if you're following a standard American diet, your exposure to those harmful chemicals is going to be much greater. So we have to have things on board to help to offset that. This is where your indole 3 carbinol can come into to play. Now, we have a really wonderful formulation, our I3C, so the letter I, the number 3, and the letter C, I3C and DIM. So this is these powerful constituents that are derived from those cruciferous vegetables, and it's packed into a little capsule, and it really yields a powerful, powerful punch. And this is key when we think about not only detoxification, but even when we think about brain health. They have now recognized the role that indole 3 carbinol can play when it comes to the way that the brain and the misfolding of certain proteins, we call those amyloids. So, beta amyloid, most people can correlate that with things such as Alzheimer's disease. And we know that indole 3 carbinol can play a really supportive role in brain health, but also cardiovascular health. So, across the spectrum, when we look at chronic diseases and we look at the way that different foods and the chemical constituents from those foods can yield a human health benefit, it is really quite remarkable. So I certainly am an advocate of making sure that you're following a Mediterranean style diet and you're incorporating in those healthy cruciferous vegetables into your diet every single day. But I also find it advantageous to add in additional indole 3 carbinol and DIM, especially in the setting if we know we're on maybe a lot of different medications that we know can eventually over time clog up the liver. If we have a issue with hormonal fluctuations, definitely want to pay attention to that. I always encourage both men and women who are going through menopause or andropause. So, for women going through menopause, men going through andropause, it's always advantageous to make sure you have additional nutrients on board, such as indole 3 carbinol, that can really help to offset that negative impact of those harmful estrogen metabolites that can build up over time and create quite enormous amount of havoc. So, I3C, definitely good for liver health when we think about all of the ways it's helping with phase one detoxification. We know it has a supportive role in cardiovascular health. We certainly have now seen its benefits when it comes to brain health. So, overall, it has all of these wonderful properties to it. And I just want people to be aware of that because many times maybe you're not a big fan of having those cruciferous vegetables in your diet, but you still want to be able to yield those benefits. So, by utilizing I3C with DIM, or even utilizing the greens HX, for example, where you're going to get that exposure to those sulforaphanes in the I3C from all of those powerful vegetable blends that are incorporated into the greens HX. So definitely keep this in mind. If you're not exactly sure as to how much you should be taking, if you do use the I3C with DIM, when you should take it, how many capsules per day, certainly reach out to one of our health experts and they will be able to assist you in guiding you as to when you should take it and how many per day you should take based off of your specific health needs. Now, I will be back with you in a few more days to talk about more wonderful formulations available at Invite Health. Thank you so very much.